Rian sat alone in his small apartment, staring at the glowing lines on his old computer screen. He had seen this pattern before, again and again. For 12 years, the signal had been the same, repeating, growing stronger and clearer. But no. One believed him. Once, Rian was a respected engineer. He worked on deep space communications for the Earth Alliance. Smart, quiet, and always curious, Rian was known for solving problems that no one else could. But everything changed 12 years ago. When he discovered the signal dot, it started as a strange sound, just a soft pulse buried in the background of deep space noise. At first, he thought it was a broken sensor. But when he cleaned the data and ran it again, the pattern remained. It wasn't random. It was repeating every 312 seconds. Curious, he followed the signal source. It came from far beyond Pluto, deep in the Kuiper Belt. That area was mostly quiet, just frozen rocks and empty space. There were no stars close enough to send such a signal. It didn't make sense. Rian took his findings to his team. He showed them the graphs, the pulse charts, and the coordinates. But they laughed. They said it was just interference. One scientist even joked, maybe it's an alien DJ trying to play music for frozen rocks. Still, Rian didn't stop. He left his job and started working alone. He spent his savings on old equipment. He rebuilt an abandoned signal tower near the edge of the asteroid belt. He called it Listening Post 9. It was just a small dome with a dish and a dusty lab. But for Rian, it was enough. He listened every day. Every night, the signal grew stronger. And then one day, it changed. The pattern began to shift slightly. It was no longer just beeps. It became more like code. Something was being sent. Rian worked hard to decode it. He used old languages, math sequences, and even ancient Earth symbols. After months of work, he finally found something terrifying. The message was not friendly. It said, "Target identified. Observation complete. Arrival pending." Rian's heart raced. He checked it 3 times. The words were clear. Someone or something was watching Earth, and they were coming. He rushed back to the Earth Alliance headquarters. He showed them everything, the recordings, the translation, the data logs. He begged them to listen, but they didn't. They told him to leave. They called security. One guard even said, "You're not the first to cry alien. Come back when they land in your backyard." Rian returned to Listening Post 9. The signal didn't stop. Every year, it got louder. Every year, the message repeated. But no one cared. Some news channels picked up the story. They called him the Mad Listener. Online jokes spread. Cartoons showed Rian wearing a tinfoil hat. People laughed. But Rian didn't. Only one person believed him, Lena, a young technician working in a low-level space data center. She was smart and curious, just like Rian had once been. She found his blog and started reading his notes. Something about his work felt real. One night, she sent him a message. "Mr. Rian, I don't think you're crazy. I think you're right." From that day, Lena helped him in secret. She sent him updated satellite data and small power packs for his equipment. She even tried to run the signal through new AI decoders. They didn't tell anyone. They knew people would just laugh again. Years passed. The world changed. New space stations were built. Mars colonies grew. But the signal was still there. Rian kept listening, and then one quiet morning, the signal stopped. Rian blinked in shock. He checked the dish, the receiver, everything. No error, no damage. It was simply gone. He stared at the empty screen. For 12 years, the signal had been with him like a shadow, like a heartbeat. Now it was silent. He called Lena. "It's over," he said, voice shaking. "They're not sending anymore." Lena paused. "Does that mean?" Rian's voice dropped to a whisper. "Yes, they're coming." That same day, Earth's deep space scanners picked up something unusual. A dark object had entered the outer system past Neptune. heading in slowly, with perfect control. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't natural. And it wasn't answering hails. Still, Earth's leaders said nothing. Some said it was an old satellite. Others said it was just space debris. No one wanted to believe Rian's warning. He stood outside listening post 9, looking up at the stars. The wind was cold. His hands were shaking. For 12 years, he said softly, I begged them to listen. The stars did not answer, but something else would soon. The universe was not supposed to be quiet. Every space scanner, telescope, and satellite had always picked up the background hum of stars, radiation, and distant pulses from exploding galaxies. But suddenly, that sound the soft voice of Space Dash stopped at. First, no one noticed. It was a slow change. The silence crept in, like a quiet fog. Machines showed fewer data spikes. Signal graphs became flat. At the Space Monitoring Center in Asia, a young operator raised his hand. Sir, he said. The background radiation level just dropped to 0. The supervisor laughed. That's not possible. Reboot the system. But the system wasn't broken. Other centers around the world reported the same thing. Telescopes in orbit began returning blank results. Something had wiped out the noise of space. For Rian, this was the final sign. He sat inside listening post 9, staring at the quiet screen. The blinking green light that once flashed with signal activity had turned red. The alien message had ended. The silence was real. He opened his journal and wrote one sentence. They're not watching anymore. They're moving. He immediately called Lena, who was working at her desk inside a military data hub. Lena, he said, you have to believe me. The silence means they're no longer sending the signal. That's because they don't need to. Lena listened carefully. You think they're close? I know they are, Rian said. They're not warning us anymore. They're ready. Lena took a deep breath. She trusted Rian. Over the years, she had seen enough strange data to know he wasn't lying. She opened her secured channel and ran a quick search on newly logged space objects. One entry caught her attention, object delta 6. It had appeared near Pluto. It was large, fast, and slowing down. No one had labeled it as a threat. Just a note. Unidentified object, possibly comet fragment. But Lena knew it wasn't a comet. It was changing speed. Rocks don't change speed on their own, she whispered. Rian, there's something out there. Rian's voice turned cold. I told them for 12 years. That evening, the news began to spread. Small headlines at first. Strange space object approaching solar system. Scientists study mysterious silence in deep space. Is Earth being watched? Most people didn't care. Some thought it was just science fiction. Others joked about aliens online. Memes appeared. No one took it seriously, but behind closed doors, the Global Defense Council held emergency meetings. High-ranking generals, scientists, and world leaders sat in a room deep under the earth, watching blurry footage of the object. The dark shape was not round like a planet or asteroid. It was sharp long, with straight edges and a glowing core. It looked like a black knife cutting through space. A general spoke first. It's too smooth. That thing was made. A scientist added, it's not answering any messages, no radio signals, it's just coming, they argued. Some said to prepare weapons. Others said to wait. But no one knew what it wanted. Meanwhile, satellites around Earth began acting strange. One by one, they lost power. Some spun out of orbit. A moon base reported a system failure. Communication started to break. And then came the dreams. People across the planet, scientists, engineers, pilots reported strange dreams. The same image appeared in each one. A tall black tower standing under a red sky, with thousands of lights watching from above. No one could explain it. Rian dreamed it too. He woke up in sweat and wrote down what he saw. The image was burned into his mind. He didn't understand it completely, but he knew it was a warning. He turned on his old projector and showed Lena the shape he saw. Her eyes went wide. She had seen it too. "They're not just coming," she said. "They're already inside our minds." That night, Object Delta 6 reached the edge of Saturn. Earth's telescopes captured the first clear image. It wasn't a rock. It was a ship. Black metal. No windows. No engines visible. But it moved with purpose. It didn't spin like natural objects. It simply drifted silent, straight, unstoppable. Global Defense Council was forced to speak publicly. They held a press conference. A woman in a gray uniform stood at the podium. "We are aware of an object entering the solar system," she said. "There is no reason to panic. We are monitoring the situation closely. No threat has been detected." But Lena knew they were lying. And Rian knew the truth was far worse than anyone imagined. He looked up at the sky. The stars were still there. But somehow dimmer. He whispered to himself, "They're here." The next morning, 2 unmanned probes were sent toward the ship. They carried peaceful messages in over 50 languages. They broadcast Earth music, images of cities, and human greetings. The ship did not respond. When the probes reached within 10,000 kilometers, something happened. A flash too fast for the eye to see burst from the side of the ship. Both probes vanished. No fire. No explosion, just gone. Earth's systems went dark for 6 seconds. When the power returned, all cameras showed one thing: the alien ship now closer and turning. Facing Earth. At listening post 9, Rian sat still. The wind outside howled. The silence in space grew heavier. He turned to his old notebook and circled the final line from the alien message. He decoded years ago: "Arrival pending." Then he added a new word underneath. The alien ship now stood between Jupiter and Mars, silent, cold, and dark like a shadow blocking the stars. It didn't move quickly anymore. It just waited, like a predator watching from the edge of a forest. People across Earth were starting to feel the fear. The news could no longer hide it. Videos of the destroyed probes spread everywhere. Scientists gave careful interviews saying, "We don't want to jump to conclusions." But no one was smiling anymore. In space stations, military bases, and government bunkers, alarms were ready. At listening post 9, Rian watched it all unfold on his dusty monitor. He hadn't left his station in days. His beard had grown longer, and his eyes looked tired but sharp. Lena called him again through a secure line. "They're still not saying it's a threat," she said, frustrated. Rian nodded slowly. "Because once they admit it, they'll have to explain why they ignored the warning for 12 years. She sighed. "We don't have much time. The ship is drifting closer every day." Rian stood and walked to the back of his lab. There was a large metal cabinet with a lock on it. He took out a key tied around his neck and opened it. Inside were dusty hard drives and a sealed black box. "This is what I built in secret," he told her. "I call it Code Red Sky. It's not a weapon, it's a defense plan." Lena leaned closer to her screen. "What kind of defense?" Rian's face was serious. "I studied their signal for years. I believe they use gravitational pulses to control energy. That's how they destroyed the probes, by folding space itself. Can we stop that?" Lena asked. "Not with missiles. Not with lasers," Rian replied. "But maybe with their own code." He explained that he had written a counter-signal, an algorithm based on the alien pattern. It wasn't an attack. It was more like a mirror, designed to confuse and block the alien pulses. "But we need to upload it into the global defense grid," Rian said. "And I can't do that from here." Lena paused. "I can. I have access. It's risky." "They'll know," Rian warned her. Lena smiled slightly. "Then we better make it count." While they made their plan, the alien ship began to act. For the first time, it opened. A circular door at the bottom of the ship slowly unfolded like petals of a black flower. From inside, small objects floated out, dark spheres the size of cars. They didn't shine. They didn't make noise. They simply moved forward, hundreds of them, in perfect formation. Earth's satellites recorded everything. Scientists called them drones, but they didn't know what they were for. Some thought they were scouts. Others feared they were weapons. One thing was clear. They were heading toward Earth. Panic spread fast. Cities started building emergency shelters. Schools closed. People rushed to buy supplies. The internet was filled with fear, prayers, and questions no one could answer. Still, the world governments told people to stay calm. "We are in control," said one leader on live broadcast. "Our defense systems are ready." But Lena knew better. And so did Rian. That night, Lena stayed late in the data hub. The building was quiet, and only a few guards were around. She waited until the system ran a routine update. Then she plugged in Rian's black box and uploaded the code red sky file into the network. A progress bar appeared. Uploading. 1%. 10%. 30%. But then an alert flashed on her screen. Unauthorized. Access detected. System lockdown starting. Lena's heart raced. She had only seconds left. She opened a backdoor program she had hidden weeks ago. It tricked the system into thinking the file was a satellite diagnostic tool. The alert vanished. The upload resumed. 85%. 99%. 100%. Upload complete. Rian's code was now inside Earth's global defense grid. It called Rian quickly. "It's done. But they'll trace it soon." "Good work," Rian said. "Now we wait." But they didn't have to wait long. Within hours, the alien ship responded. A deep rumble echoed through space, captured by long-range sensors. It wasn't a sound, it was a vibration, shaking through satellites and ships like a low growl. Then, something worse happened. All weather systems on Earth began to shift. Clouds gathered unnaturally fast. Storms formed over oceans, cities, and deserts at the same time. Lightning danced across skies in strange patterns. People said the air felt heavy, like the planet itself was being watched. The drones entered Earth's atmosphere. They didn't crash. They floated down gently, landing in forests, mountains, lakes, even deserts. They didn't move after landing. They just stood there, humming quietly. Military teams were sent to investigate. One drone was approached in the African plains. A team circled it carefully. It didn't respond. They sent in a robot to scan it. As soon as the robot touched its surface, the drone pulsed with dark light and sent out a high-frequency wave. All electronics nearby shut down instantly. The soldiers froze. Then the drone melted into the ground, disappearing completely. Every drone on Earth did the same thing, vanishing after making contact. Rian watched the reports with cold eyes. "They're testing us," he said. "Just like their message said, the observation is over. Now comes the judgment." Suddenly Lena's screen went black. The entire military hub lost power. Outside her window, she saw one of the drones standing silently near the city wall. And high above the Earth, the alien ship turned its nose directly toward the planet. For 12 years, Rian had warned them. Now the world was finally listening, but it might already be too late. 2 weeks passed after the alien ship left Earth's orbit. The skies were clear. The drones were gone. The strange lights had vanished from the oceans and the sky. Earth felt calm again, but not peaceful. Everyone was still watching, still waiting. The fear hadn't completely gone. In the Global Council's press room, Rian stood in front of reporters from every country. Cameras flashed. People watched from every screen across the planet. He adjusted the mic. "We survived. But this was not a victory. We didn't win a war. We were being tested." The crowd was quiet. "I warned this world for 12 years. I saw the signs, read the signals. I begged people to prepare. And now that it's over, we must not forget what we faced, or what may still come. A voice from the crowd asked, "Do you think they'll return?" Rian looked up at the sky. They didn't speak, but they understood. That means there are more questions to ask and more answers we must find. On the other side of the world, Lena stood at a ceremony held for the Aerolite crew. She wore a silver medal across her chest. Marek and the others stood beside her. They were called heroes. People clapped, waved flags, and thanked them for saving Earth. But in Lena's mind, something still felt strange. She remembered the alien drone watching her, silently, without moving. She remembered the moment the resonance core started, and how the wave didn't destroy it, confused. It stopped their system. They didn't try to kill us, she whispered to Marek later, as they sat on a quiet balcony. No, Marek replied. They studied us, she nodded. Like we were a problem they were trying to understand. Back in listening post 9, Rian returned to his old station. Dust still covered some of the screens. The lights flickered in the same way they did 12 years ago. But now the world listened to him. He looked over the logs. Something was bothering him. The alien ship had sent thousands of small pulses during its time near Earth. Most had been harmless scans or data bursts, but one signal stood out. It was sent just before they left. He clicked on it. The screen showed a new shape, unlike anything he had seen before. 3 rings turning around a single dot. The system labeled it as unknown. But Rian felt a chill. It was not just a symbol. It was a message. He turned on his recorder. Message log. Day 4 since departure. I believe the alien ship left behind a marker. A sign. The signal wasn't noise, it was language. And I think it means we will return. Over the next few weeks, Earth-changed nations agreed to work together to prepare for future contact. The Global Council created a new branch called Earth Defense and Diplomacy, EDD. Rian was made lead advisor. Lena and Marek were invited to join a special task force. Their mission: study the resonance core technology and find out how it worked so well against the alien systems. At first, everything moved fast. Scientists, engineers, and leaders all wanted answers. But slowly, the excitement faded. People went back to normal life. News channels stopped talking about the alien ship. Social media moved on to other stories. Some began to say the threat was never real, that it was all just a misunderstanding. Rian watched this happen, heart sinking. He knew this pattern too well. People were forgetting. Again. One day, Lena received a private message. It was from Rian. Come to listening post 9. Bring Marek. Something new has started. When they arrived, Rian looked tired, but focused. He pointed at the screen. The signal changed. What do you mean? Marek asked. 2 hours ago. We received a short burst. It came from beyond Saturn. At first, it looked like random energy, but I filtered it through the old resonance data. He played it. A deep humming sound filled the room. It was soft, but growing louder. Rian's eyes narrowed. It's the same frequency they used, but slower. Like they're not talking to us anymore. Then who are they talking to? Lena asked. That's what I'm trying to find out, he replied. But I think they've found something else out there. He zoomed in on the data. It's not just one signal anymore. There are 3. That night, Rian sat alone in the station. He looked at a small photo of his family on the desk. They had passed years ago. He remembered how everyone laughed at him. Back then, how he spent nights trying to warn people who didn't care. Now they listened, but only because something bad had already happened. He sighed and turned to the window. The stars were quiet, but space, he knew, was never truly silent. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. New signal detected. His heart jumped. He opened the live feed. The signal came from the outer edge of the solar system, the Oort cloud. It was fast, steady. and full of unknown code. He called Lena immediately. "Something's coming," he said. "And this time, I don't think they're just watching." Across the world, EDD stations picked up the same signal. Satellites showed strange shadows moving through space, just beyond Neptune. Objects, small, cold, and silent, were entering the solar system. They didn't come from the same direction as the last ship. They came from deep space. From somewhere else. The council held an emergency meeting. Rian was asked to speak again. He looked at the room full of leaders. "This is not a warning anymore. This is a response. Someone heard the first ship signal. And now something else is coming to see what we are." A silence filled the room. Then, one leader asked, "What do we do?" Rian didn't hesitate. "We prepare. We learn. We stop forgetting." He paused, looking directly at them. "And this time we listen before it's too late." The ship glided silently through the darkness of space. Inside, Lena sat near the front window, watching the stars move past. She had never flown this far from Earth before, and the silence of space made her feel small. But she wasn't afraid. She had a mission and time was running out. Her ship, the Aerolite, was old but strong. It had once been used for science missions around Jupiter. Now it carried the last hope of Earth, a small team of engineers, pilots, and security officers were with her. They all knew the risks, but no one backed away. Their goal was clear: reach Europa, the icy moon of Jupiter, and activate a secret defense system built by Rian 12 years ago. It was called the Resonance Core. Back on Earth, Rian stood in the Global Council command room. Around him, giant screens showed strange lights in the sky, broken weather systems, and drones glowing brighter across every continent. The alien ship had stopped moving. It now floated in place, watching Earth like a judge waiting for a final answer. Everyone in the command room looked at Rian. "Will it work?" one general asked. Rian didn't blink. "It has to." The Aerolite entered Jupiter's orbit. The gas giant filled the windows with swirling red and yellow clouds. The crew moved fast. They used the planet's gravity to swing toward Europa. As they approached, the moon looked like a frozen pearl white, cold, and cracked like old glass. Thick layers of ice covered the surface, hiding what lay beneath. Lena opened the mission file and read Rian's instructions once again. "The resonance core is hidden inside Station Echo 7 under the southern ice plains. It can only be activated manually. One person must enter the core room and start the signal." She closed the file and looked at the others. "We only get one chance." The ship landed softly near the old station. Snow and ice blew across the windows. The building was buried under frozen layers, with only the top antenna sticking out. They put on thermal suits and stepped into the cold. The station's doors were frozen shut. It took them an hour to cut through. Inside, everything was dark and quiet. The walls were covered in frost, and broken lights hung from the ceiling. They moved carefully, following Rian's map. After 200 meters underground, they reached a large metal door. It had a strange symbol on it, 3 rings inside a triangle. Lena touched the panel, and the door slowly slid open. Inside was the resonance core. It looked like a giant bell made of silver metal, hanging in the center of a round room. Thick cables connected it to the walls, and a control panel stood nearby. The team began to check the system. Some parts were frozen, and others were damaged from age. The pilot, Marek, wiped snow from the screen. "It's still online," he said. "But only just." Lena stepped forward. "Start the power-up sequence." They worked quickly. Lights flickered on, and the machine began to hum softly. The resonance system used deep sound waves, copied from the alien signal, but reversed. It didn't attack it confused. If it worked, it would make the alien scans useless. Suddenly, the warning lights turned red. "Alert! Foreign signal detected." The screen showed a moving object fast, Small and coming from space. It's one of their drones. Marek shouted. Outside the station, a black sphere broke through the clouds and landed near the ship. It didn't make a sound. It didn't move. It just watched. Inside, panic started to rise. If it gets inside, we're done, said the engineer. Lena made a decision. Marek, take the others and prepare the ship for emergency takeoff. I'll stay and finish the activation. Marek hesitated. It's too dangerous. She looked at him. Earth is more important. He nodded slowly. Good luck. The team rushed back toward the surface while Lena stayed behind. The core was still charging. She entered the last activation code from Rian's notes. The screen blinked. Resonance wave, ready. Manual launch required. She placed her hand on the final switch. Just as she pulled it, the wall shook. Boom. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something had hit the station. She held the switch down. The machine began to pulse low. Deep sounds echoing through the room like a heartbeat. The walls vibrated. The cables lit up with blue energy. The resonance wave had started. In space, something strange happened. The alien ship shuddered. Its smooth black surface rippled like water. The lights on the drones began to flicker. Across Earth, people looked up as the drones suddenly stopped glowing. Some rose into the air, spinning. Others froze in place. The weather calmed. For the first time in weeks, the sky turned clear. In the command room, cheers broke out. Scientists shouted updates. Generals clapped hands. Rian didn't cheer. He stared at the live feed of Europa. Lena, he whispered, did you make it out? On Europa, the station was falling apart. The drone had broken through the roof. Lena ran through smoke and fire. Her helmet cracked. Alarms were blaring. She reached the surface just as the aerolite was taking off. Marek saw her. He opened the side hatch and pulled her in. You did it, he said. Lena smiled weakly. Let's go home. The ship rose into space, leaving the icy moon behind. Back on Earth, the alien ship had not moved again. Its surface was now dull, like something inside had shut down. It slowly turned away from Earth and drifted back toward the stars. One by one, the drones left Earth's skies and followed it. Humanity had passed the test not by fighting, but by understanding. Rian stood outside listening. Post 9. Looking up at the night sky. For 12 years, no one listened, but now, finally, Earth had spoken, and the message was clear. We are ready. Earth had never felt so small. The alien ship now stood between Earth and Mars, larger than anything made by human hands. Its black surface reflected no light. It gave no signal. It showed no emotion. It only waited while hundreds of its dark drones sat quietly across the world. Rian sat alone inside listening. Post 9, his eyes fixed on the sky. He had spent 12 years listening to the stars. Now the stars were silent, and the ship was watching. In the cities below, fear was growing. Like fire, people rushed to leave big cities. Highways were blocked with cars. Families slept in basements, unsure if they would wake up the next morning. Shops ran out of food and water. Internet was slow, and some parts of the world lost power completely. But what scared people most was the weather. It was not normal. Rain fell in places that hadn't seen clouds in years. Snow dropped in deserts. Thunderstorms circled the skies like they had a mind of their own. Lightning struck at the same time in different parts of the globe, almost as if something was sinking the entire planet's energy. At the Global Defense Council, a secret base deep underground, generals, scientists, and world leaders argued. Around a glowing table, one general slammed his hand on the table. We must launch an attack now. We have missiles, we have satellites. A scientist shook her head. We tried that with the probes. The ship destroyed them without even touching them. Another man in a gray suit stood. He was older, quiet, but respected. We waited too long, he said. We ignored the warnings. Now we face judgment, and we don't know the rules. No one spoke for a moment. Then someone mentioned Rian's name. He warned us for 12 years. Maybe he knows something we don't. A younger officer pulled up Rian's old files on the screen. He wrote a decoding sequence for the alien message. He believed it was more than sound, it was communication, a kind of test. They stared at the words on the screen. Test complete. Judgment begins. Another screen popped up. Lena's face appeared. She was in a secured military line, her eyes serious. I uploaded Rian's defense code into the system. I believe it confused their energy pulse, but only for a short time. A general narrowed his eyes. You broke protocol. Lena didn't blink. I saved you time. Silence again. Then the older man said, "Where is Rian now?" Meanwhile, at listening post 9, Rian was preparing for the worst. He had moved most of his equipment underground. He filled water tanks, charged his solar panels, and kept watching the sky. He was not scared anymore. He was tired. When he heard the knock at the door, he thought it was the wind. But it came again, 3 firm taps. He opened the door slowly. 2 people in black suits stood outside. Behind them was a small airship with the Global Council symbol. "Rian," one said. "We need your help." Rian was taken to the Council's underground base. It was the first time in years that he had seen so many people. Scientists worked on glowing monitors. Soldiers carried weapons. Generals spoke into radios. He was led into a large room where Lena was already waiting. She smiled when she saw him. "I told them you were right." Rian looked around. "You finally believe me?" One general nodded. "We do. And we want to stop whatever's coming." Rian stepped forward. "You can't stop it like a war. You have to understand what it is." He walked to the center of the room and pulled out a small drive from his pocket. "This contains my final translation of the alien message." He plugged it into the main screen. Lines of alien code appeared. Then, slowly, it turned into words. "We watched your world. We tested your skies. We studied your minds. Now we will see if your kind should continue." Everyone stared at the screen. "What does it mean?" someone asked. Rian looked at them. "It means this is not an attack. It's a judgment. They are deciding if we deserve to live. Then how do we pass?" Lena asked. Rian turned to a second slide. It showed another translation lines from what he believed were instructions or conditions. "Those who understand the signal will prepare. Those who prepare will resist. Those who resist will survive. It's a test of response," Rian said. "They've been watching how we react, our fear, our violence, our silence." The council members whispered among themselves. "We didn't respond with unity," one said. "We ignored it," Rian nodded. "But it's not too late. I built something, an old defense system. It's not a weapon. It's a signal array designed to create a resonance wave. I believe it can confuse or block their deeper scans." "Where is it?" a general asked. "On Europa," Rian replied. "Under the ice. I built it into a forgotten science station 12 years ago when I first found the signal." Everyone went silent again. Europa was far, dangerous, and now possibly watched by alien drones. Lena stepped forward. "I'll go." Rian looked at her. "It's not safe." "I know," she said. "But we don't have time." The next day, Lena and a small crew launched in an old science vessel. It was not built for war, but it was fast and quiet. They flew low, avoiding satellite paths, and left Earth's orbit. As they passed Mars, they saw the alien ship, now fully facing Earth. Its shape was changing, opening like a giant eye. Lena whispered to the pilot, "Go faster." Back on Earth, storms grew stronger. Lightning spread in strange patterns. All the drones across the world began to glow with soft blue light. They were waking up. The countdown had started. Rian stood at the command post, watching everything unfold. He knew what was coming. He had begged them to listen. Now humanity was finally running to catch up. But the question remained, was it already too late? A heavy silence filled the control room of Listening Post 9. The new signal was stronger now, growing clearer every hour. It repeated the same strange tones over and over, slow, powerful, and full of unknown meaning. Rian, Lena, and Marek stood side by side, eyes fixed on the monitor. 3 new objects, Marek said, pointing at the space tracker. All heading toward Earth, Lena added. They're not moving like ships, no lights, no engines, just drifting. But they're not natural, Rian said softly. Their path is too perfect. Someone sent them. All 3 of them knew what this could mean. Earth had not passed the test. The Global Council gathered once again. This time, not in celebration, but in fear. Are we under attack? One leader asked. We don't know, said Lena, standing before them, but we can't make the same mistake again. Rian stepped forward. 12 years ago, I begged this world to listen. I was ignored. Then the Watchers came. They studied us, scanned us, and left. Now, something else is coming. And this signal, it's not a question. It's a decision. What kind of decision? Another asked. Rian paused. Whether humanity deserves to survive. Gasps filled the room, but no one laughed this time. No one doubted. The sky had changed once, and it could change again. All over Earth, people watched the sky. Some prayed, some ran drills, some ignored it, hoping nothing would happen again. But in Listening Post 9, the team worked non-stop. Rian, Lena, and Marek gathered data from every satellite, telescope, and deep space antenna. Every signal was studied. Every code was checked. Finally, after 2 days of decoding, they discovered something new. It's not just sound, Lena said, looking up from the screen. It's a recording. Marek played it. A deep, layered voice echoed through the room. It didn't sound human. It was slow, like stone grinding against stone. But the translator worked hard to make sense of it. Then the message appeared on the foyer screen. You were warned. You were watched. Your answers were not enough. Another pause. Judgment begins. The 3 of them stared at the words. It's a sentence, Rian whispered. Not a conversation. On the edge of Earth's solar system, the 3 alien objects finally revealed their purpose. They were seeds machines built to land, grow, and rewrite planets. Not bombs, not weapons, but something worse. TERRAFORMERS. They were designed to change Earth itself, to erase what was already here and replace it with something new. Something for the ones who sent them. It's not war, Rian said during a global broadcast. It's replacement. Now there were no arguments. No more debates. Earth had to act fast. The aerolite was launched again, this time upgraded with everything Earth had learned from the resonance core. Rian stayed behind, guiding the mission from Listening Post. Nun, Lena, and Marek led the crew into deep space. Their mission: intercept the seeds before they reached Earth. As they approached the first object, the crew felt a deep vibration in the ship's hull. The seed wasn't just a machine, it was alive in some way. It reacted to their presence. It's scanning us, Marek said. Trying to understand who we are, Lena frowned. No, it's judging. They launched the resonance pulse. Ship shook, lights flickered. Then, the object cracked, breaking apart into dust. 1 seed was destroyed, but 2 more remained. Back on Earth, Rian stared at the second signal. It had changed again. More words appeared on screen. Violent, primitive, unsuitable. Rian's chest tightened. He sent his own message back, simple, direct. We can change. Let us prove it. Silence. Then something strange happened. The 3rd seed stopped moving. It turned and began drifting away from Earth. In space, the aerolite reached the 2nd seed. Marek prepared the weapon. But before he fired, Lena raised her hand. Wait. She stared at the object. It had not moved. It didn't scan. It just sat there. It's not attacking. Should we destroy it? Marek asked. No, she said. Let's send the same signal back. The message Rian sent. They did. The seed paused. Then, slowly, it began to disassemble itself, falling into pieces, gently drifting in space. Earth watched all this unfold in real time. And then, the final message arrived, not from the seeds, but from the original watchers. Observation complete. Pattern disrupted. Judgment paused. Prove you are more than destruction. Then, silence, real silence. For the first time in months, the signals stopped. The sky went quiet. Rian leaned back in his chair, exhausted but relieved. They're giving us another chance. A week later, Earth was no longer the same. The Global Council passed the Unity Accords, promising cooperation between all nations in science, space, and survival. Listening Post 9 was upgraded into a full deep space embassy, open to peaceful contact with any life beyond Earth. The Aerolite returned home, carrying not only survivors but a message of hope. Rian gave his final address to the world. 12 years ago, I begged you to listen. I begged because I believed we were worth saving. Today, I no longer need to beg, because now, you're listening. And that is the beginning of something greater. Far beyond the stars, in a place no telescope could see, the watchers observed. Earth won last time. They did not speak. They simply watched. And waited. Because the test was never truly over. It had just begun.